Now let's move to Malay to make it different with Malay in Malaysia or Singapore. So I mentioned here Malay is in east coastal of Sumatra, which also known as Langkat and Delhi. When we talk about Malay architecture in North Sumatra, especially Langkat and Delhi, we are looking at a strand of Melayu Pesisir, the coastal Malay world, shaped by maritime trade, Islamic scholarship, and courtly culture. Unlike the highland Batak typologies, Batak Toba and Karo, Malay houses present a lighter, more refined timber aesthetic with strong connections to the sea, the river, and the royal courts. The typical house is a panggung or raised floor elevated on stilts with a long veranda, also called serambi, usually for receiving guests. This open veranda reflects Malay social etiquette, hospitality, storytelling, poetry recitation, and negotiation often take place here. The architecture uses local hardwoods like kayu cengal, kayu merbau, prized for their strength and resistance to humidity. Walls are often arranged with horizontal planks, allowing airflow and expansion in humid climates. One of the most distinctive features is the use of decorative carved panels such as pucuk rebung or pucuk rebung or lebah bergantung, or another floral geometries. These motifs follow Islamic aesthetic. No representational images, but rich vegetal Arabic symbolizing continuity, growth, and divine order. The roof form varies from bumbung limas to bumbung perak, depending on status and region. Bumbung limas or bumbung perak, also known as atap limas and atap pelana. These roofs not only protect the house from heavy coastal rains, but also create a dignified silhouette associated with Malay elite culture. Color is also important. Yellow for royalty, greens for Islamic, and blues for coastal identity are commonly used in Malay Langkat and Delhi. Even ordinary homes reflect an elegant aesthetic. They are symmetrical, airy, and poised above the ground. In Langkat and Delhi, settlements traditionally grow along riverfronts because rivers were trade routes, communication channels, and cultural gateways. Architecture emerged from this riverine ecology, making houses oriented for breeze, flood protection, and easy access to boats. Okay, the next slide is I want to highlight why traditional people's houses, not palaces, not elite structures. People houses are so important to study. Vernacular homes are living archives. They tell us how everyday communities adapted to their environment, organized social life, and expressed identity across generations. Both heritage and identity, this house reflects how ordinary people saw themselves through space. They carry intangible traditions too. In Malay context, for example, practices like tari japin or silat martial arts often take place in the rumah panggung or in open veranda and communal yards. So the house becomes a cultural stage, not just shelter. Second, the climate adaptation. Vernacular houses are brilliant examples of environmental intelligence, raised floor, natural ventilation, flexible partition. They saw solution developed long before modern technology. Third, the social organization, the layout of the rooms, the house, inside the house reveal how family structure relationship. There is always gender zones, generational hierarchy, and communal hosting areas, private sleeping zones, and these spatial patterns show how people live together and negotiated social rules. Finally, contemporary relevance, understanding these logics helps today's architects reinterpret local wisdom in modern design, whether for sustainability, social cohesion, or cultural continuity. These houses remind us that architecture is not just building, it is life, community, and identity expressed in space.